Hi everyone and welcome! Today I have something pretty special to share with you. An Athlon Slot A motherboard from the early months of the year 2000 that came in its original box. Hey, look at all these tech website logos from the late 90s. Let's check inside. A floppy disk with some drivers. This must be for the second ID controller. The CD-ROM with the motherboard drivers. The plastic brackets that hold the CPU in place. Some ID cables. And this looks like a thermistor for the CPU temperature. This is back from the days when the CPUs did not have any temperature sensors on them. There is some text on the thermistor. 5103AGO? Not sure what this means, but let's measure it. At a room temperature of around 26 degrees, the thermistor measures at around 9.9 K ohms. At body temperature, it's around 6.8 K ohms. So this looks like a pretty common 3950 NTC thermistor if I'm not mistaken. And there is a pretty substantial manual. Nice! Oh, and here's a header for the thermistor. It's named TCPU. Now let's look at the motherboard itself. And here's the Slot A motherboard with a Slot A Athlon in all its glory. I picked up 3 identical boards from e-waste, with this one being in the best shape. The other 2 have some mechanical damage and may not be easy to rescue. These Athlon slot CPUs and boards are not very common, but look awesome. This particular board is an Abit KA7 based on the VIA KX133, which supports 133 MHz memory and 8GB4X. The South Bridge chip is a VIA 686A. Okay, so the main issue with this board is that almost all of the large capacitors have leaked. As you can see, these JPCon 2200 and 1500 microfarad 6.3 volt caps have leaked, and this goo is all over the board. So I won't even try to power on the board before recapping it. Let's start. As a first step, I'm adding fresh solder to the pins. Then I'm trying to remove the solder with a desoldering gun. But that didn't go well. The board's ground plane just sucks the heat and doesn't let the desoldering gun do its job. There are well-known ways around it, like heating the board with a heat gun while desoldering, but I find that the easiest way to remove these capacitors is by heating both leads at once with the soldering iron, while at the same time pulling the capacitor gently from the opposite side of the board. After removing the capacitors, there's a ton of gunk that needs to be cleaned up. So let's wash the board with soap and water. After letting it dry for a couple of days and cleaning it up a bit more with IPA, we're ready to install the new capacitors. We can use the desoldering gun to clean the pads. The only problem with these capacitors is that this form factor is no longer widely available. These are narrow capacitors with an 8mm diameter, and the ones close to the board need to be short enough such that they don't interfere with the CPU case. My local electronics shop didn't have any such capacitors in stock, but luckily I could get them online. When installing the new capacitors, we need to make sure that the polarity is correct by checking the silk screen. The board looks so much better with the gunk removed and with these brand new capacitors. The color is better too. Okay, let's power it on. It looks like the board is completely dead. No postcodes are showing up. Could it be a power issue? But the CPU is getting warm. Let's check if there is activity on the ISA bus. The address pins seems to show some activity, which is great. This means that the CPU is working. But the data pin 7 looks very strange. Data pin 5 shows the same pattern. This is very weird. Let's check the BIOS pins. Yep, pin D2, D1 and D0 show the same weird pattern. So do D3 and D4. The address pins A0 and A1 look normal. So perhaps the BIOS chip is bad? Let's remove it to try to read it with the chip programmer. Let's read it and save the image in bios.bin. Let's read it again to check if it produces the same image. Yes, they are both identical, they have the same MD5 hash. Now let's see if something changes if we write the BIOS and try to read it again. Nope, all looks good. Let's try to boot the system once again, just in case. Nope, same weird pattern. I did try flashing different BIOS images off camera, but nothing changed. Okay, this is not normal, so let me replace the BIOS chip with another one from one of the other boards. Success! The board is showing postcodes. And the data signal no longer looks like it used to. Let's add a graphics card and try to see if we can get an image. Awesome! The board is alive. This was indeed very strange. The BIOS chip would work in the chip programmer but would not work on the board. Have you ever run into a similar issue? Let me know in the comments. Okay, that's all for today. I am really happy I managed to rescue this Slot A motherboard, and I will try to rescue the other ones too. Such early Athlon boards are not very common, so rescuing them is very much worth it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching and goodbye.